Hi there and welcome back to the Beach House Garden Diary. It is 2nd of November and we had some snow today in the morning. So it is the latest time to get back to the topic of my lawnmowers, Husqvarna 450X and EPOS 550 Professional, and do the seasonal overview video. I have divided this video into 3 different segments. First, the background story. The second part is my humble opinion about the operation experience over the full summer in Estonia. And the last part of this video are tiny video clips that I have recorded from the Automowers in trouble. So if they have been stuck somewhere, if they don't find their way, if they get stuck into the sand, if they don't find the satellites, and so on. So join me in this video, and perhaps this can help you to make up your mind if you want to purchase one of these models. If you already have one, I'm sure you had some doubts as I did. So hopefully this season overview helps you to get some of these doubts sorted out, or at least would be entertaining. So let's go. So the first part of this video is the introduction of the lawnmowers. This here is the video clip from the springtime video that I created when I was just finished installation of the 550 EPOS based model. And it first talks about my boundary wire based robotic lawnmower, which is by now 7 years old and was the biggest model with ability to mow about 5,000 square meters when I purchased this in 2018. However, this is not enough on my land, unfortunately, and I needed another one to support it, as my property size is about 1 hectare or 2.5 acres. So I needed another robotic lawnmower, and I wanted to be a little bit more flexible, so I chose the EPOS based wireless technology, which according to the sales people was supposed to work in my garden excellently, as they have been here and were familiar with my property. So here are a couple of shots from me installing the 550 EPOS. Already on the very first day it was experiencing the satellite visibility problems. Little did I know that this is going to continue through the whole season. So the second part of this video is about my personal opinion about the operations of these models on my land over 5 months based on my personal experience. So you may have completely different experience based on your property, because you may not have the park forest, and you may not have the sand, and you may not have heavy winds that drop the branches everywhere. So basically on my land I have installed 6 different mowing areas, which are the work areas as per Husqvarna Connect, and I have also 6 tiny cutout zones where the mower is not working. So just keep that in mind when you hear me talking. Alright, so what is my general feeling about the season? It was a 50-50 fail. What does that even mean? So that means that it was so close to defining this as a complete failure, but it didn't cross the threshold. It didn't really cross the fail threshold because my lawn was looking absolutely perfect all the time. So first let me tell you what I considered when I was evaluating whether it was a win or fail. First, I think that for the robotic lawnmowers, the most important thing that you need to consider is the quality of the lawn. Once you have your lawnmowers installed, I guess every owner expects the lawn to be perfect. And it was the case, even with me. although about 50% of the time the lawnmowers were not working. Why do I say 50% of the time? Is because of this chart, which I basically downloaded from the Fleet app and integrated all on the same page. So what you can see from this figure is that the green part is where the mower was working perfectly okay. The red part is where the 550 model was experiencing some kind of error. The yellow parts were the times where the mower was stopped or paused, and mostly that happened also due to some kind of error. I just didn't want to get the alarm all the time, so I stopped it. So that counts mostly as part of the error. And then there is a blue part where it was stopped because I had to do some gardening work and I didn't want it to roam around all the time, because you know how these robots behave. When you are working, shoveling something, breaking something, they are going to be exactly there and nowhere else. Anyway, based on this statistics, you can see why I'm saying 50-50. But regardless of that 50-50, the lawn was looking perfect. The second thing, what impacts my opinions, is the ease of operations. How do I feel about the Connect app? Was it really helping me? Was it on time? Was it lagging? And thirdly, what were the primary errors? And were they mostly related to my landscape and property, software and design of the lawnmowers, or personally my faults because I had forgotten something laying around, something was falling over with wind and blocked the robotic lawnmowers or something like that. So all of these things together did not leave me feeling good about this season, but I can't complain because the lawn was looking, despite everything. So first of all, the cutting quality. I think the endurance blades for the 550 is a must, and the fact that it has 5 blades in general is a huge help, because the lawn surface after the mower has finished mowing is smooth. It's so nice, and the blades are really durable. I only had to swap them once over the whole season. So a well-discussed topic for the 550 is the efficiency in the mowing process. And it is, of course, most efficient when you use the back and forth pattern. However, if you happen to have, for some reason, similar kind of soil on your property as I do, which is a peat moss and sand combined, which makes it very fluffy, airy, and almost liquid, back and forth pattern is tricky, as the robot is using a lot of momentum when turning around in the same location, and that wipes away the tiny roots of the lawn, and it leaves you with pure soil where the robot starts to get stuck. So I was struggling with this behavior for the first 2.5 months of my operations, until I figured this out and started to use a random pattern in the back of my garden. That made the mowing process so much more slower, but I didn't have to go and rescue the robot from the sand all the time, from slipping or collision or being trapped activity, because these faults did not happen anymore. So if you have a sandy soil, consider using the regular random pattern. Here is a view from my front yard, which is done today, which is 2nd of November. And the last time the lawn was mowed was exactly 1 month ago, on 2nd of October. And you can still see the stripes in the lawn. because they basically become permanent. The third part I wanted to discuss is the cutout zone efficiency, and I would say that works very well. They are relatively easy to install, and as long as the satellite connectivity is good and you are not operating your mower below the huge pine trees, you are good to go. And the cutout zones were working really fine. And by the end of the season, I also started to implement using the shuttle. I did not use the shuttle function beforehand because I just let the mowers to run wherever they wanted, whenever they wanted. But in the end, I started to define the mowing times for different areas in my garden so that it wouldn't work behind the bedroom windows during the night time. I do not use the flashlights in the night time, but it still makes a little bit of noise while it is working, so I wanted to work in other remoter areas during the night time. So what comes to the primary errors, there were so many, and over the season I kept on finding the new ones because they somehow rotated. So first of all, the most and primary problem, of course, was the looking for satellites, which was extremely problematic in the springtime in May, and as well in the end of September, where we actually experienced some GPS jamming on the same time. So what was the actual cause? Was it somehow faulty installation from my side, that or the high pine trees, or a par forest in general? I don't know. But this took the most time from the robotic lawnmowers. But that definitely was the biggest influencer when it comes to the efficiency of the operations of 550 EPOS. I think the second prize goes to the collision problem, which started to appear after I installed the tiny metallic rods as the borders for my flower beds. I needed them for my garden to look good, but after that I started to experience the collision problem. The first time the collision alarm happened was where the robotic lawnmower started to turn around on top of this tiny metallic rod because it was pressed too low into the ground, and it got stuck with the body, the upper body of the robotic lawnmower on top of this tiny little metallic rod. And after that I started to get continuously this collision alarm, and what always helped was to press the stop button and then press the start button again. By the end of the season I also had to start lifting up the robot and put it down and then pressing the button. But in general, it was always the movement or a little bit shaking the robot that got it back to its operational mode. The funny thing here is that I was thinking that it's the grass in the robotic lawnmower that was creating the problem, or that really there is a fault with the software, that it is too sensitive to any kind of possibility for a collision. However, just a couple of days ago I returned the lawnmowers to the maintenance, and the maintenance guy immediately noticed that one of the tiny knobs for the cover that was underneath the cover, holding the cover in place, was actually loose. My eye was not trained to see it, so I didn't notice that there was something loose. So I only shake the mower and got it back to work. And that kept on happening because every time there was something that was moving the mower's body, the knob came even looser than it was, and that activated the alarm. So that's why I got so many of them. And I think the initial collision with the metallic rod was what lifted the cover up, and after that it just started working, although I should have pressed the cover down, and I didn't do that because I didn't know that it was loose at all. So if you start to get a collision alarm more often than you would expect this to have a collision with anything, then just make sure you press down the cover to see that all the knobs are holding on to the cover very well and it's not loose. A third very common problem was also a dead battery. Because of the satellite visibility, the robots were stuck in the locations where they were mowing, and as they couldn't position themselves due to poor satellite visibility, they couldn't navigate home, and the battery was depleted. That meant that in many mornings I had to carry the robotic lawn mowers back to the charging station and push them into the charger. That was also a problem in the beginning, because if you push it into the charger when the battery is empty, the robot treats this behavior as you would have stopped the robot. It does not start functioning again when it is fully charged. You cannot enable it again through the Connect app, but it expects you to go to the robotic lawnmower personally and then press the stop button and start button again manually. So bear that in mind when you push the robot with the empty battery into the charger. You need to activate it by hand. In addition to that, there were a couple of more problems that were related to the charging station. During the end of the summer, many times the robot couldn't enter the charging station anymore because it was claiming that the charging station is blocked. It was just standing there below the reference station in front of this charging station, and it didn't move. It was just claiming that the charging station is blocked. There was nothing that could even possibly block the charging station. So also that was an interesting alarm that I really couldn't figure out why was it behaving like that. And regarding to the reference station, there was one more interesting thing that you could only locate from the Fleet app and nowhere else. It was that sometimes it was claiming to have a conflicting frequency. I guess you can change the reference station's frequency at the dealer's location, and I asked them to do that now, but yeah, it was very late into the season when I found that alarm hidden between all the hundreds of other alarms that I had experienced through the season. And finally, I need to talk about the patience. You need a lot of patience when you run these kind of EPOS-based models and the Connect app, because the lag in the app was just so incredibly long. It could take 5 minutes to connect to the mower, and not always was it improving after you had the connection. Even establishing Bluetooth connection to the mower was not always quick. So that definitely was a problem in my eyes, because time is money these days, and I always had to spare at least 15 to 20 minutes of my time to go to the back of the garden, take my phone along, hope that it's going to connect and solve the problem, which was not always solvable also with one attempt, and get back to house. So it was very time consuming. So there is definitely a lot of patience that you need when operating this model. However, it may be my property, and it may be some specialty situation that only I experience. But if you do experience that as well, just know that you are not alone. That's the only thing I want to say here, because I cannot say that this is the experience for everyone. It's just the experience what I had.
And it is now time to review all the videos from the robotic lawnmowers in trouble. And they are presented in the chronological order, so you can see how some of the errors started to appear more and more as the season progressed.
So after 2 days of having a map problem, it finally started working, and it got out here to mow the grass. And I don't think it actually did any mowing here, because I don't see the tracks too clearly. Hence, this is the third day where this device does not work. For this particular fault, I did not even get any notifications. So that's a bit annoying, because it's actually not visible from the house that the mower is in trouble.
So these are a couple of pictures taken from the robotic lawnmower's receiver. And yeah, there's no direct visibility to the reference station. However, I'm not really sure that it was really required. For a comparison, this is how it looks for the human eye.
Okay, this is just miserable. One cannot see the reference station and the other does not know what to do. Everyday situation. Everything is just standing and nothing is working.
You can already hear the frustration in my voice. I had absolutely zero clue why were they sitting there together, not mowing. And sometimes when the problem was evident, I was just so happy because I could actually understand why things do not work.
This mower claims that it is trapped, and I am not sure where or what is the reason for that. Can I lift it up for a moment? Nothing suspicious here either. Don't know.
After activating the mowers, I started to get some bald plots on my lawn, and the robot started to get stuck in the sand. Not seeing the satellites was still a thing also in the midsummer and later on.
I discovered this device sitting here at least in the morning, so no clue yet how long it has been sitting here, as I cannot connect to that
over the Connect app. Seems a tiny branch is blocking the device. Oh, well stuck. Okay, let's see if it starts to work. Well, after rescuing it from this tiny little branch, it just made it about 10 meters. The battery was quite low, so maybe it just died because of the battery, but we will see right away. Well, it did everything in order to not start driving toward the parking station or charging station, and now the battery is so dead that I need to carry it. This path here is a little bit too narrow for the robotic lawnmower to move around freely. So basically this is the second time when it gets stuck in here. Okay, here it is. The charging station blocked alarm. How it actually looks. I'm not really sure what could be blocking this thing in here. There is absolutely nothing. Yep, nothing it is. I think this machine definitely is a drama queen, because slipping where? On this sand patch perhaps? But it already got off the sand patch. Why complain? Okay, just resetting the error did not help in here. So let's give it a little push. There is nothing suspicious beneath. Okay, and let's activate it again. Okay, this is the third time today where this robotic lawnmower is reporting slipping activity. And this time it really has slipped, because there's no grass anymore. When they are constantly turning around on the same spot, then they ruin the grass, so there's no grass anymore, and then they start to slip, which has happened here. So here it is, claiming to be lifted. I don't know. Moved it forward a bit. There's nothing underneath. Really don't know what this thing wants from me. And although the back and forth pattern can be so much more efficient, I don't think it's efficient here, because all the time around every little tree and around every little area where the mower is turning around, it gets slipped or stuck or collision or lifted or whatever the problem may be. Many problems, but all the time.
So I've just changed it to irregular pattern now, and let's see how it's gonna behave now. Let's wish it luck. Good luck, you little thingy. And this is how deep it can dig itself into. I only have sand in here, so maybe it's not the machine that I should blame, but definitely it does not work in here. The problem is it does not work in here in this manner. All right, let's go then. And here we have the charging station blocked situation. I don't know where the blockage is, but apparently it is somewhere here. So what I'm going to do now these days, if these kind of situations happens, just going to push it in. Come on, go. There you go. Where is the blocking part? I really don't know, because these things here, it just made with its wheels when I was pushing it. We've received another collision alarm, and on a second thought of that, they started to actually appear after the last firmware upgrade. So there's really nothing to collide with at this current point. So it might as well be a software or firmware problem. Anyway, this problem stops the robotic lawnmower from mowing the grass and just standing here in the middle of no collision area actually. And that's why I'm not really particularly a fan of this new software. Oh well, let's just help it out. I figured out now that the only way to release the robotic lawnmower from this problem is to raise it up, get an alarm that is lifted, put it back down, and then it can go and continue mowing like there was no collision, which there was no collision. Yet another charging station blocked alarm with no reason to be blocked. There's nothing, like always. So I am going to just push it in, like always. Another collision. And another collision with nothing. Now I'm not sure if this is the new firmware indeed, or is this somehow the metallic fencing that I'm using? I have no clue. Like always, the machine is close but does not touch. So where does the collision come from? Secret forever. This has never happened before. It looks like a positioning mistake, but I cannot be sure of that.
Yep, it's the favorite spot to get outside of the work area again. Obviously, actually being inside the work area. But basically, it's just playing hide and seek the lawnmower way.
All right, I think I've cracked the code for the collision, and it is that if this mower mows with heavy rain, then it gets so stuck with the grass, which is sticky, that it creates an appearance of a collision because the mower cannot move freely. It seems to me that it can, but for the mower it doesn't seem like that, so I need to just clean it and then it should be fine. But that also means this mower is a bit limited to be operated in the rainy days. Interestingly enough, today it just doesn't start working. It says it is paused, and that's what it is. From the Connect app, it is impossible to send a command to send it to work. So, manual, here we come. Let's hope that it works. Nice track. So that's the first time where I've opened up the new grass area, which is close to the dismantled fence in the very far end of the back garden. And it seems that it's very hard for the robotic lawnmower to work in here. First it was stating that it has slipped, and then the next thing, when I was able to reset the error, now it's stating that it's outside of the work area, which I don't think is true, but doesn't matter. This is how it feels. So I'm gonna drive it closer inside the work area and let it run again to see whether it is at all possible to operate it in this area. Here I had a plan to operate 2 robotic lawnmowers at one time. So basically I need to also install the boundary wires for this old robot that I had. So let's see how that is going to end. I drove the robotic lawnmower out of the way, and what we see here is a pile of tiny rubble that came with a new soil. So actually this was the cause of this slipping problem. It was just sitting on top of it because I haven't managed to clean it up from everywhere. That's a bit annoying, that it's just sitting here claiming to have an empty battery, but not having actually a reason for that, which I was hoping or thinking that it's being stuck in here around this tree, for example, or anywhere else, having any reason. But this is not having any reason. It is just sitting here. Yep, I just moved it, and there is not a single reason. Very annoying. That's actually the typical, I can't see the satellites corner, but this time it claims to be slipped. And this is true, that the soil here is not very supportive. It's very sandy, nothing grows on this, and therefore it's easy to dig yourself in. Not sure what to do here. Do we need to bring new soil? I don't know.
And just when I thought that this machine hasn't had the charging station blocked alarm anymore, then here this alarm is again, and nothing is on the way of blocking this entering the charging station. Oh well, have to give it a push again. Well, it was about 2 days ago when I pushed the lawnmower into the charging station because it was claiming to have a charging station blocked alarm. Obviously there was nothing blocking that, but this is how it was. And now it is still here, blinking red. Well, I'm actually out of words. You guessed it. That's another collision here. I think the word collision definitely means different things to me and this machine. But yes, I probably just need to clean it again, because that seems to be the underlying problem with this collision alarm, so that it gets so saturated with the grass clippings that it requires a manual clean. Otherwise it claims to be in a collision state. So I'm going to do that now. I was prepared that it is stuck on the other side of the fence like always. But this time, look at that. It's trapped itself in the corner. Well, I'm not sure how to help it out here. Just push it out, I guess. But that should be a part of the software. But that should be part of a software that it can actually navigate itself out from the corner. Well, I'm just gonna push it out now. Oh, look at that. Not trapped anymore. That's great. So that is a type of error that often happens in this area of my garden. And this is outside of the working area. How much outside exactly does it think it is? I don't know. But once this alarm happens, it is not possible to enable it to work just with pushing some buttons in the Connect app. So here we are, after knowing about this error since the noon time today. It's now 9 o'clock in the evening and I'm finally here together with my phone to tell this little thing that it can start working. It's safe. Bad news. Searching for satellites has moved closer to the house. It's under these big trees
Yes, that's true. But everything else in the south is absolutely open. Yes, yes. This performance is slightly disappointing. Oh yes, and the ultimate drama queen of the summer award goes to this blinking drama queen here. This is just unbelievable. So this time it's claiming to have an empty battery, and it died just 4 meters before the charging station. Yet another time that I need to just push it in. Yeah, I thought I haven't seen the guy for a while, like 2 days or so. Here it is, and here it is, hiding itself under the huge pine trees, obviously looking for satellites. I wouldn't be surprised if the battery is dead by now, so I'm gonna check that out. No, I actually did check now, and the problem today is that it is claiming to be outside of the working area. However, according to the map and the current location, it is not outside of the working area. And so do we see that most of this area around the mower is already being mown. So it worked there before, right? I didn't mow that. So I'm gonna just restart it, and hopefully it will start working again. But we lost 2 days for that. And here it is with an empty battery again. Just a couple of meters away from the charging station. And I think at that point of time, when the battery got depleted, it came from the park forest. And I think it was searching for the satellites again. So that seems to be the issue here. It just searches for the satellites that long that it cannot make it home later. I'm gonna push it in. But this time it's a little bit more to push. Well, this blinking star sent out an error message already yesterday, but I didn't have time to work on this. So now finally, 1.5 days later, I'm in the back of my garden helping this collision problem to be solved. Well, this is the first time where there actually is a collision with a massively big mushroom. I have these growing in my garden, like everywhere. And that collision actually is for real. And here is the machine that claims to be outside of the working boundary. Primary problem here was supposed to be the tilt of the working boundary. However, I don't think it is anyhow related to any tilts or anything else. The outside of the working boundary problem has been raising a couple of times in the last weeks. So I think we do experience some GPS jamming again. So perhaps that's the problem. All right, and that's basically it. That's my experience over this first mowing season. I'm very much hoping that I've discovered and gone through most of the problems that can happen on this kind of property, and the next mowing season would become so much better because I already know what to expect, although I'm sure new things will pop up, but I'm definitely hoping to improve the efficiency in the working from 50-50 to 70% of working and maybe 30% of error time. Yep, so that was the season overview. I hope I wasn't too disappointing. I definitely was a disappointment for myself. However, this is how we learn. This is how it was. I'm just being transparent here. It's not that you always succeed, and I didn't succeed, even though my lawn was looking perfect. So that was a part of success. It's just that the experience behind this perfect lawn was not so perfect. Anyway, the autumn is here. Most of the leaves have dropped from the trees, and that means that we are going to have a white snowy cover everywhere soon. And that means it's going to be a time for rest, time for reflections, time for making new plans, improving plans, and then there will be a new spring with new opportunities. So I'm very hopeful. I hope you keep your fingers crossed for me and for the next mowing season with me and two of my robotic lawnmowers. I guess this is all that I have to say about this season. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer. Other than that, I wish you all the best and I hope to see you back in here for the next mowing season. Take care.